Dawn breaks over Greenwood as shop owners unlock doors, scanning streets already crowded with armed patrols. Men gather outside the barber shop, whispering warnings, watching uniforms tighten lines at each intersection. A woman folds newspapers sharply, pointing at headlines while neighbors argue over imminent danger. Church bells ring early, calling attention, summoning bodies before fear scatters them. Inside the sanctuary, leaders stand, shoulder to shoulder, voices low, hands trembling, eyes fixed forward. They argue strategy, not hope, counting rifles, routes, rooftops, and possible exits. Young messengers sprint between pews, carrying instructions scribbled on scraps of paper. Outside, mounted officers circle slowly, reins taut, scanning windows for movement. A black veteran steps forward, medals visible, demanding protection promised after overseas service. The officer answers with silence, fingers tightening around a baton. Crowds swell along Greenwood Avenue. Banners lifted, faces tense, breaths shallow. Marchers advance carefully, boots scraping pavement, testing the line of police shields. A shout erupts, not celebratory, but sharp, cutting through the growing roar. Police ranks compress, instantly, helmets lowering, rifles angling downward toward chests. Women pull children behind storefronts, gripping collars, eyes never leaving the street. Community guards position themselves at corners, passing ammunition quietly, avoiding unnecessary gestures. Negotiators step forward together, hands raised, papers visible, voices steady despite shaking legs. A senior officer listens briefly, then waves them aside without responding. Behind him, guardsmen arrive by truck, jumping down, loading weapons in unison. Tension thickens as rumors race faster than messengers can stop them. Someone yells about arrests beginning 3 blocks south, dragging men into wagons. Greenwood leaders redirect marchers, closing ranks, blocking side streets with carts and barrels. A young woman climbs a crate, signaling with a raised fist, commanding silence. She speaks briefly, pointing toward rooftops, where lookouts crouch behind chimneys. The crowd responds by moving, coordinated, purposeful, resisting panic through disciplined motion. Police advance suddenly, batons striking shields rhythmically, forcing bodies backward. A bottle shatters near the front line, exploding into glass. An accusation. Officers surge forward, grabbing whoever stands closest, hauling them toward waiting wagons. Community guards intervene, forming human barriers, absorbing blows without retreat. Shots ring out. People scatter. Silence falls. Then, screaming erupts as smoke drifts between buildings. Fire breaks from a storefront window, flames licking upward, consuming years of labor. Men rush forward with buckets, fighting fire while dodging advancing patrols. A mother collapses near the curb, clutching her child, refusing to release. Soldiers raise rifles, aiming deliberately, forcing rescuers to freeze mid. Orders echo down the street, clipped, practiced, leaving no room for appeal. Greenwood leaders retreat briefly into an alley, reassessing routes as fires multiply. They argue evacuation versus defense, weighing homes against lives under immediate threat. A scout reports airplanes circling overhead, shadows passing quickly across the smoke. Faces harden as leaders realize the scale is expanding beyond neighborhood control. A call goes out to barricade the remaining blocks, buying time for families. Furniture drags across streets, overturned wagons forming crude but determined defenses. Police respond by flanking, moving through backyards, and kicking doors without warning. Inside one home, elders hide documents, while youths break floorboards for hiding places. An officer smashes a window, ordering occupants outside at gunpoint. Hands rise slowly, shaking, as families emerge into streets filled with shouting. They are separated immediately. Men are shoved left, women and children are pushed right. A leader protests, loudly, citing property rights, citizenship, and military service. He is struck down, boots pinning him as cuffs bite into wrists. Word spreads that detention camps are forming beyond city limits. Greenwood residents exchange looks. Understanding displacement is no longer theoretical. Some flee through alleys, carrying nothing, guided by neighbors shouting directions. Others refuse to move, standing defiantly on porches as flames approach. Soldiers march them off anyway, rifles never lowering. Smoke blots out the sun, turning morning into choking twilight. A woman drops to her knees, clawing ash, searching for keys already lost. Children cry hoarsely, voices cracking, asking when they can go home. No one answers. Community leaders regroup briefly at a crossroads, counting who remains. They decide the show of resistance must continue, even as territory collapses. A small group marches again, battered, banners torn, stepping deliberately into view. Police intercept instantly, surrounding them with overwhelming force. Cameras flash as white onlookers gather, pointing, murmuring, documenting, selectively. A marcher locks eyes with an officer, refusing to look away. The officer hesitates briefly, then strikes, ending the standoff brutally. Bodies fall. Hands reach out. Smoke thickens further. Greenwood's streets empty unevenly, controlled by uniforms, fire, and shouted commands. Survivors are shown the edge of town, ordered to stop, ordered to wait. Behind them, their neighborhood burns unchecked, collapsing inward, under armed watch. Leaders exchange final glances, recognizing the fight shifting into something longer, harsher. They stand silently among displaced families as night descends, without relief. Night settles over the holding fields as floodlights snap on, revealing rows of guarded families. Armed men pace the perimeter, rifles resting casually, fingers always near triggers. Children huddle against parents, shivering despite the heat, eyes fixed on shadows. A guardsman shouts numbers, assigning groups to sections marked by chalked stakes. Men are pulled away first, names ignored, explanations denied. A woman grips her husband's sleeve until a baton forces her hand open. He is marched toward a distant line, never turning back. Inside the enclosure, community leaders whisper counts, tracking missing faces. They argue quietly about escape routes, legal appeals, and survival priorities. A truck arrives carrying blankets, tossed roughly onto the ground without a distribution order. People scramble anyway, fighting exhaustion and humiliation simultaneously. At dawn, officials arrive with clipboards, standing elevated, surveying the camp. They announce relocation orders through megaphones, voices flat, instructions deliberately vague. Families are told they cannot return, cannot retrieve belongings, and cannot question decisions. A man steps forward, demanding receipts for seized property. He is dragged away immediately, silencing further questions. Buses rolling, engines idling, doors open like commands. Guards herd families aboard, separating groups arbitrarily to prevent coordination. A mother is forced onto one bus, while her children remain behind. She screams until her voice breaks, hand slamming windows as it pulls away. Inside another bus, elders pray quietly, gripping each other's hands. Young men scan exits, memorizing guards' positions, counting weapons. The convoy moves out under armed escort, dust clouds swallowing the road. Back in Greenwood, soldiers patrol ruins, posting notices on surviving walls. Signs read restricted area, backed by rifles and patrol dogs. Former homeowners are turned back immediately, even those carrying proof of residence. A black businessman shows deeds and licenses, papers trembling in his hands. An officer tears them in half, letting scraps fall into ash. Looting continues openly, watched but unchallenged by uniformed patrols. Photographers document ruins selectively, framing fires as accidents, not assaults. Rumors spread through camps about permanent relocation, labor assignments, and surveillance lists. Leaders attempt to organize meetings, quickly shut down by armed interruptions. Any gathering larger than 5 draws immediate attention and dispersal. Food distribution becomes leverage, withheld from those who question orders. Children grow weaker, coughing from smoke inhalation, eyes dulled by shock. A nurse volunteers assistance, turned away for lacking official clearance. Guards enforce curfews strictly, firing warning shots after sunset. One shot hits flesh. The body is removed quietly, explanation never right. Fear deepens, but resentment hardens alongside it. Young organizers begin whisper networks, passing messages during food lines. They identify sympathetic workers, drivers, and guards showing hesitation. A plan forms to document names, dates, abuses, despite confiscation risks. Scraps of paper are hidden in clothing seams, shoes, and hair wraps. A guard discovers notes on one man and beats him publicly as a warning. The crowd is forced to watch, silence enforced at gunpoint. That night, leaders debated stopping documentation to protect lives. They decide continuing is the only remaining resistance. Relocation continues deeper inland, camps growing larger, oversight thinner. Families are assigned to farms, factories, and road crews. Contracts are signed under threat, wages promised but never clarified. Workers labor under armed supervision, exhaustion replacing shock. Attempts to leave assigned areas result in immediate detention. A woman escapes briefly, seeking help from a nearby town. She is returned within hours, bruised, warning others through her condition. Despite this, information leaks outward through church networks and port workers. Stories reach distant cities, sparking cautious inquiries from journalists and advocates. Officials respond by restricting access, citing security and public order. Inside camps, leaders reorganize quietly, shifting from defense to they teach children roots, names, and survival tactics disguised as games. Elders recount property lines from memory, preserving claims without paper. A secret meeting is held during a storm, and guards are distracted by the weather. Plans are made for coordinated testimony when opportunities appear. Betrayal strikes when an informant reveals names for extra rations. Arrests follow swiftly, targeted, surgical, leaving gaps in leadership. Those taken do not return. Remaining leaders adapt, flattening hierarchy, dispersing responsibility. Resistance becomes quieter, harder to detect, and more dangerous to stop. A worker sabotages machinery subtly, slowing production without immediate blame. Another hides tools, forcing delays that ripple through operations. Punishments intensify, but efficiency drops, frustrating overseers visibly. Tension shifts as authority struggles to maintain control without open violence. A supervisor overreacts, striking a worker publicly. The blow is witnessed by outsiders, drawing unwanted attention. Officials scramble to contain damage, issuing denials and inside camps, whispers grow bolder, eyes sharper. A child asks when Greenwood will come back. No one answers directly. At night, families gather close, facing the same direction, listening. Far off, trains whistle, carrying others toward unknown destinations. Leaders watch horizons, waiting for cracks, moments, opportunities not yet visible. Displacement has succeeded physically, but control remains incomplete. The camp lights flicker as power strains under constant use. Guards shift uneasily, aware they are being watched now. 2. Greenwood survives only in memory and strategy, but it survives.